In every conversation, whether it's a heated debate or a calm discussion, there are moments when we need to defend our position, challenge someone else's beliefs, or simply move the conversation in a more productive direction. The 5 questions that will put your opponent in their place are not just tools for winning an argument. They are keys to mastering communication and establishing your authority in any dialogue. These questions will give you the opportunity to change the dynamics of the conversation by forcing your opponent to think about their position and acknowledge the strength of your arguments. They serve as a gentle but firm reminder that you are in control of the discussion and are not intimidated by their attempts to dominate. These questions play a crucial role in every conversation, especially when emotions are running high or when the argument seems to be reaching an impasse. Remember that you are in control and directing the situation. Number 3, if used correctly, can disarm even the most skilled manipulator. Stay until the end, because you're going to want to practice every single one of them. And when you apply them, you will notice the silence. By incorporating these questions into your daily communication, you will quickly notice an increase in your self-esteem and reputation. People around you will appreciate your ability to remain calm and sharp-minded even in difficult discussions. Not only will your authority grow, but your influence will also grow. People will listen to you more attentively and respect your ability to challenge ideas without resorting to anger or aggression. Number 1. Why are you raising your voice? Are you doubting your views? This direct question is meant to challenge the emotional intensity of the conversation. Delivered calmly, it refocuses the discussion on rationality, not heightened emotions. The person may feel momentarily defensive, as they are being called out for their emotional reaction, which can make them question whether their raised voice is masking uncertainty. It prompts introspection about whether their emotions are a sign of confidence or insecurity in their argument. For the person hearing it, this could lead to a shift in their approach. Realizing their emotional outburst may be weakening their position rather than strengthening it. They may become more reflective and adjust their tone accordingly, allowing the conversation to return to a more thoughtful exchange. This question forces them to reconsider if their emotional response is truly necessary to defend their beliefs, or if they've been subconsciously using it to cover up doubt. For those observing, this response shows you as calm and composed, someone who doesn't engage in emotional escalation, but instead focuses on the substance of the conversation. It enhances your reputation as someone who remains level-headed in tense situations. This question is effective when you need to de-escalate a conversation and bring the focus back to reasoned dialogue. However, it should be used cautiously, as it can provoke resistance if not delivered at the right moment. Used strategically, it resets the conversation, encouraging deeper thought and a shift away from emotional defensiveness. As Nietzsche once said, "Whoever fights monsters should see to it that in the process he does not become a monster. And if you gaze long enough into an abyss, the abyss will gaze back into you." This reflects the danger of letting emotions overtake reason. By raising your voice, you might be fighting to assert control, but you risk becoming a part of the emotional conflict you are trying to resolve. When you challenge the intensity with calmness, you maintain the moral high ground, focusing not on emotional noise, but on clarity of thought. Number 2, your words may shout, but the real truth is quiet and gentle. If you're someone who enjoys a fiery exchange, this phrase can be delivered sharply, with a certain intensity that mirrors the heat of the conversation. You can say it boldly, almost like a challenge, to call out the emotional intensity of the discussion. In this case, your words become part of the battle, and you embrace the back and forth. It's a way of feeding into the conflict, ensuring you're not backing down, and showing that you're just as ready for the verbal sparring as the other person. This approach will keep the conversation charged and might even provoke your opponent to double down on their intensity, making the verbal clash more dynamic and engaging. Alternatively, if you are skilled in loud debates and enjoy taking a more audacious approach, you can say this with a slightly cheeky or even sarcastic tone. You can deliver it with a confident edge, where your words become an assertion of power in the conversation. This version of the phrase, said with a bit of attitude, challenges not only their argument, but also their approach, making the exchange more playful, but no less intense. It can provoke your opponent to become more defensive, but it will also position you as someone who is unafraid to challenge them with both words and attitude. It's a bit more confrontational, giving you the upper hand in the exchange. On the other hand, if you want to keep things neutral and philosophical, you can soften your tone and present the phrase calmly, almost contemplatively. In this case, it no longer feels like a challenge, but more of an observation about the nature of truth in conversation. Delivered in a more measured way, it becomes a subtle reminder that the truth doesn't need to be shouted to be heard. It speaks for itself. This approach is less about fighting and more about positioning yourself as someone who is intellectually above the noise of the debate. By lowering the volume, you show that you're in complete control of the conversation. You're not reacting emotionally, but rather calmly pointing out that shouting is unnecessary when the truth speaks quietly. This delivers the message that you've already outsmarted the opponent by taking the higher road, and it leaves them scrambling to match your level of composure. In all cases, the key is knowing when to raise the stakes and when to lower them. Whether you choose to embrace the intensity, challenge the conversation boldly, or take the philosophical high ground, you demonstrate control and composure. You are several steps ahead in the conversation, and by adapting your tone to the situation, you show that you've already thought through the dynamics. The opponent may be caught off guard, realizing that you're not only aware of their approach, but are guiding the discussion in the direction you choose. This elevates your position and makes you seem like the one leading the conversation, always a step ahead, always in control. Number 3, we both can have our own truths. But when I start understanding you, do you start listening to me? This is a soft, friendly response designed to de-escalate the situation and steer the conversation towards a more constructive path. It's not confrontational. Rather, it subtly reminds the other person that a productive dialogue requires both parties to listen and understand each other. By saying this, you signal that you are open to their perspective, but you also expect the same respect in return. It emphasizes mutual engagement without diminishing your own stance. This approach aligns well with the Stoic philosophy of Epictetus, who said, "We have 2 ears and 1 mouth so that we can listen twice as much as we speak." Epictetus teaches that active listening is as important as speaking, if not more so, because only through listening can true understanding be achieved. In this response, you are embodying this principle by showing that you are ready to listen, but you also expect the other person to do the same. It creates an opportunity for mutual reflection without sacrificing your own position. When the person hears this, they may feel a slight discomfort or guilt, realizing that they have not been truly listening to your viewpoint. This can trigger a moment of self-reflection where they may reassess their approach to the conversation. However, it's important to note that while this response encourages introspection in the other person, it does not mean you are relinquishing your position. You remain firm in your beliefs, but you invite a more balanced, respectful exchange. For those observing, this response will be seen as a mature and balanced approach to conflict. You're perceived as someone who values fairness and understanding, while also maintaining the strength to assert your own views. It positions you as a diplomatic communicator who fosters an open, reflective dialogue, making you respected for your ability to guide conversations in a way that promotes constructive outcomes. This will build your reputation as someone who navigates discussions with wisdom, calmness, and intellectual strength, ensuring that you are seen as a leader in creating meaningful, productive conversations. Number 4, do you want to win the argument, or do you genuinely want to find a solution? This phrase is direct and assertive, embodying the tone of someone who is confident, knows where they stand, and isn't afraid to engage in a candid conversation. It's the type of response you would expect from a business-minded person, someone who values efficiency and results over ego-driven debates. When you say this, you're not backing down, and you're not interested in engaging in a war of words for the sake of winning. You're focusing on getting to the heart of the matter, ensuring that the conversation remains productive and solution-oriented. As the person delivering this statement, You're standing firmly in your position, but you're also showing respect for the goal of the conversation, finding a resolution. You are giving your opponent the opportunity to step back and rethink their approach without letting the discussion devolve into a personal battle. Your tone should be calm, but firm. You're not here to argue for the sake of arguing. You're here to solve the problem. For those of you watching, this is an opportunity to see how a strong, confident individual handles a disagreement. This response makes it clear that you're not afraid to hold your ground, but also that you're focused on achieving a solution. You have the right to stand up for yourself, set boundaries, and steer the conversation in a direction that benefits everyone involved. This is exactly the type of behavior that will earn respect and admiration. People will see you as someone who has control over the situation and knows how to handle difficult conversations with clarity and purpose. You're not intimidated by disagreement. You're confident in your stance, and you know how to turn a tense moment into a constructive discussion. As Marcus Aurelius, the Stoic emperor, once said, "Waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. Be one." In this context, it reminds you that being clear about your principles and sticking to them is not just about words, it's about action. When you state that you are focused on finding a solution rather than winning the argument, you are living by this principle. It shows strength of character and an unwavering commitment to achieving results in a respectful, decisive manner. Number 5. Are you trying to change me, or just show me your point of view? This question gently but firmly calls attention to the dynamics of the conversation. The key to delivering this effectively is in your tone. It should be calm, questioning, and open, but not passive. You're not accusing them of anything. Instead, you're inviting them to consider if they are approaching the conversation with respect for your autonomy. The internal state of the speaker. When you ask this question, it's essential to check your own mindset first. You must be willing to consider whether you're being open-minded or if you've become too attached to your own viewpoint, which can turn the conversation into a battle of wills rather than a discussion. The question, "What if I'm the one acting like a wall here?" is something to ask yourself before trying to change the direction of the conversation. If you're genuinely open to hearing the other side, you're more likely to deliver this question in a way that invites reflection rather than defensiveness. Your tone should not carry judgment, but rather the desire to engage on a deeper, more respectful level. There's a fine line between showing openness and subtly calling out the other person for trying to dominate the discussion. By maintaining a calm and confident tone, you demonstrate your willingness to listen while also asserting your own stance. You're inviting a more reflective and meaningful exchange, not challenging the other person's intentions outright. For those observing, this response will signal to them that you are someone who values autonomy and mutual respect in discussions. You're not easily swayed or manipulated, and you know how to keep the conversation grounded in respect, not control. By questioning the motivations behind the other person's approach, you're subtly asserting your own boundaries while inviting them to engage in a more thoughtful way. This will enhance your reputation as a strong yet open-minded individual who doesn't back down, but also doesn't seek to control others. It positions you as someone who maintains their integrity and values in the face of differing opinions, making you a respected figure in any discussion. As Albert Einstein wisely put it, the important thing is not to stop questioning. Curiosity has its own reason for existing. This reflects the essence of your approach in a conversation. You're not shutting the other person down, but rather inviting them to question their own approach. Just as Einstein emphasized the importance of curiosity and understanding, this question encourages a deeper exploration of each other's viewpoints rather than a confrontation. Now, you have 5 powerful questions that don't just protect your position, they elevate you. 5 questions that, when asked with calmness, confidence, and poise, leave your opponent reflecting instead of reacting. Not because you've defeated them, but because you've taken the high ground. Respect isn't demanded by force. It's earned through wisdom and control. Do not underestimate the power of these questions. When you master them and incorporate them into your daily life, you will notice something profound. People will start listening to you more attentively, and they will be more cautious in their approach. Why? because you are no longer someone to be manipulated or provoked. You are someone with presence, control, and an unshakable sense of self. When you engage with these questions, you take command of the conversation, not with aggression, but with clarity and strength. You will begin to inspire respect, not by dominating the dialogue, but by guiding it with your wisdom and composure. Here at Stoic Solitude, I teach you to think, speak, and act with the clarity of the greatest minds, so you can live with more respect, inner peace, and mental fortitude. Subscribe now and turn on notifications, because what's coming will not just change how you converse, it will transform the way you approach life itself. And tell me in the comments, which of these 5 questions will you use first? I can't wait to hear your thoughts.